Hey, what up, folks? What up? I know what it is. This is WGSN, Going Solo Network. I'm the host, Mr. Twice. And this is Thinking Twice, where we are going to hopefully have you thinking twice. Yeah, this show planned out for you today. I have the doctor in the building as always. And make sure you let him know that you missed him because you know he's going to be around. The Dr. Dean, what you want to call him. CC in the building, you know, she's making us so everything goes smooth, running on and cruising what you do. I like that. Hey, yeah, you know, she got the magic, yeah, the magic touch. I like to say that CC has a philosopher's stone. Everything that she touched turns to gold. I promise.
Well, see, isn't that that's the Midas touch? The Philosopher's Stone's something different.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
That's the Midas touch.
I'll look it up. I think we were arguing about that. All right.
Hey,
what is the Philosopher's Stone? You keep going.
Okay. So today we're gonna do things a little bit different for you. Today it's gonna be something a little bit more.
Oh, you're right.
Everything, my day-to-day life. You don't have to tell me I'm right, man. I hate hearing that. You know why?
Sorry.
Because I don't know what to say after I'm right.
I'm sorry, no. The Philosopher's Stone, more properly Philosopher's Stone or Stone of the Philosophers, is a legendary alchemical substance capable of turning base metals such as mercury into gold or silver. I'm so sorry, man.
It's all good, man. It's all good. But we should call it CC Stone.
True.
that's going to be the new phrase right there. But today, without further ado, this is the Singles Network, and I'm gonna assume that the reason why a lot of y'all are single because y'all don't know how to argue right.
Should we talk about what happened this week before we get into it?
What happened? Yeah.
So what happened today? Let me. I'm gonna slide in.
Yeah. We got the
this is your show. I know this is your show, but I'm gonna slide in for a second. So Twice didn't. Normally, you send me and CC both your show, right?
Correct.
So actually, I kind of sent you like. I don't know if you read it this way, but it was kind of like, yo, Twice, what's up with your show? Like, why don't you send me your show? Like, he didn't send me his show.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to drop the bomb.
Yeah. And so he was like, no. He's like, I sent it to CC. I'm like, oh, cool. So I didn't see his show at all. He had mentioned something about, we had pot roast on Tuesday that Robbie made.
Excellent.
Boys' night on Tuesday. Social distancing, right? Only three of us in the house. We stayed in separate parts of the room. We watched Inside Man. Oh, that's a great movie. His roommate made pot roast. I made I thought a pretty good salad. What did you do?
What did I make?
What did you make?
Who you think really put it together?
Oh, you put it together?
Yeah.
He poured the wine.
He poured the wine.
And it's his house that Robbie runs from. So I guess that's it. So anyway, so we're hanging out, and he says the show's going to be about arguing whatever.
No, I prepped everything, by the way.
Oh, okay. No, I'm just messing. So he says the show's gonna be about arguing, and then nothing. Last week I was going through a lesson about debates. Yeah, I'm not gonna list them all out. I was going through a lesson about debates. I'm like, you know what? As everyone's staying home in COVID, this would be a great YouTube video.
Right.
So Twice gets in tonight. We usually prep for the show, like get in about an hour early, just make sure the lighting's good, make sure
exactly.
Get some water, something like that. And so I go, what's the show gonna be about?
Water.
And he starts listing. The types of logical fallacies that he's going to talk about today. And what did I do?
You did a YouTube show on fallacies. Mm-hmm. We did not talk about it. It was literally days apart. Yep. It was incredible. So what happens is
I recorded it and I haven't put it on YouTube yet. So now it's going to look like I copied you.
Oh yes, just what I was hoping for. Because when you can get a Dr. Dean to follow and copy you, oh yeah, you win it. So all a part of my master plan. But before we get to those, I do want to let you guys know, you guys have to get better at arguing. I know that you guys are quarantined with your lady, with your man, with your partner. And guess what? Y'all are getting on each other's nerves. You guys are arguing and picking at all the nitpicking stuff that you can think of.
Oh, all the time.
I know you are. I know you guys are. You cannot get away from it. Cannot get around it. I know you are. But I'm going to help you guys out so that you can go ahead and win an argument. You can either, one, keep the relationship, or two, like to win. because that's what we like to do. Who likes to lose? But first things first, I kind of want to tell you guys a little bit about some of my argument experiences. You know, this is going to let you guys know that I'm qualified to tell you about winning arguments. And sometimes I don't win, sometimes I don't even lose, but sometimes I just keep going until I win. Is that argumentative?
Yeah, I think I agree.
So, first off, Dr. Dean.
Yes, sir.
I wanted to ask you, what would be the most petty argument you've ever been in?
Oh, there's so many.
There's so many.
So many. And I got to be careful because now
I gotta be
careful because my special human, she logs into the show now. She likes to support, and I don't want to upset her.
Yes, she's not going to be upset that you're talking about what you have endured.
Well, it might have been with her. We fight. So I would say we do two things really well. We fight really well, and then we do one other thing.
Make up really well.
Yeah, we make up really well. And she's not here right now. She's in Florida, so all we get to do is fight really well.
Nice.
We don't get to do the makeup part. I don't know, she and I have gotten to some petty. I mean, literally about tone of voice. About
that's huge.
And
huge.
Yeah. We've argued about.
Let's ask her.
Yeah, let's ask her. Yeah, we've argued about tone. You can log in, baby. We've argued about tone of voice. We've argued about semantics and detail. We've argued about, and we're both one thing that we're both very passionate about. One of the very many reasons that I love her to death is that we are both very involved in the plus size community, specifically fat acceptance, right? Nice. And so we will argue about semantics with regard to fat acceptance. She is probably more understanding of the liberal side of fat acceptance because she is a fat woman, right? Mm-hmm. And so for anybody listening, fat is an okay term with my partner and I. It's also an okay term in my world. So I'm not saying fat in a derogatory way. I'm saying fat, it's what's on your body, right? So she's way more liberal. Like them. Yeah, she's way more liberal on the fat acceptance side in that she's lived that life. I am a little more conservative, but learning, right? So sometimes I'll say things the wrong way or I won't understand a specific bias and she'll call me out on it and then all of a sudden it blows up. But that's her. I mean, I've gotten into petty arguments. I mean, I've gotten into arguments with family. I've gotten into arguments with my. Okay, you want a petty one?
I was about to say I got you beat. It's by a long shot right now.
So I'll tell you one.
I got you beat by a long shot right now.
I'll tell you one that was not with my current partner. Was with a different partner.
Okay.
And I was coming home from a business trip, and she and I were on the outs. We weren't physically intimate as much anymore. It was just not something I was that interested in anymore. And that's typically the end of the relationship, right? Once you start losing that physical intimacy, unless you're asexual and you find that you have an open relationship, which is a totally different animal. So she sends me, which was honestly to any other man would have been a sexy picture. I mean, it to anyone else
been sexy.
Would have been sexy. And I look at that picture. Well, I think about that picture. I don't look at it. I think about that picture now and I go, You're a jerk because I came home.
Maybe you're the jerk.
Yeah, no, me. I wasn't interested in her physically, and I came home and I was tired, and I said to her, kind of like, "How dare you make me feel as though I need to have sex with you tonight by sending me that photo? I'm not in the mood. This is like my body." And she rightfully so looks at me and goes.
He shot her down.
Rightfully so, she looks at me and she goes, "What?
How dare you?
What kind of a man says that?" And the bottom line was that I was just not looking to have it, and that was a petty fight. That was a petty fight.
Oh man, well I still got you beat.
You got me beat? Okay.
Yes, very much so. So I'm only going to go through arguments of one relationship. Okay. I have several. Yeah. Several. So look.
If you're not arguing in a relationship, are you even in a relationship?
I would rather never argue.
But have you ever had a relationship where you don't?
No.
Okay, so there you go.
Yeah, put this in the comments. Do you like relationships that have no arguments? Does that make it boring? Or tell us about that. But in the meantime, in between time, the relationship that I'm referring to is I'm not going to go ahead and throw out her name, but I would call her Belle. So if you're my partner, you would know exactly who she is. We went to San Diego, Carlsbad.
Ooh.
She's from Carlsbad.
You know, Carlsbad, you know, who has a beautiful resort down in Carlsbad.
You know who has a beautiful resort? Yeah, it's called right around Del Mar, but Maribrisa as well, if you want to go slide out there. So we was out in Carlsbad, and I think it was like August, great time frame, and we're on the beach. That's what you do in Carlsbad, right? So what we did, or when we went out to the beach, I decided to take my shirt off.
Now, can I interject for a second?
Sure. Yeah.
So, if anybody has not seen Mr. Twice without his shirt on, it's a sight. And I don't mean that in a sarcastic way. I mean, like,
I just do push-ups, man.
No, push-ups does not produce. I mean, I didn't know, like, that you could have that amount of bumps on your back. Like, I didn't think that your back was supposed to be bumpy like that. It looks like you're sick. Like, it looks like you have like measles or something, but they're not. There's just big bumps on his back. I sent his photo to a friend of mine who I was like, hey, should I sign this guy as a model because I have a brand management agency? And she just starts drooling. And I said, hey, get back to what you're doing here. Tell me if I should sign him. So anyway, I don't know if it has anything to do with the story, but you needed to know what kind of a guy he is.
Well, I don't think she was jealous or anything like that. Okay. So I don't think that was the case. But I just think she had a problem with control.
Okay.
And so we're on the beach. What you do at the beach is you
take your shirt off.
Take your shirt off.
Yep.
Why did she get into an argument with me and said we're gonna cancel the whole trip if you don't put your shirt back on?
Really?
How petty is that? So just off that alone, like, you're doing exactly what you're supposed to do on the beach. I think we got into an argument about me telling the waiter thank you too many times. We got into an argument about me opening the door for another girl. That's just one relationship.
Yeah.
One relationship. I got you beat, boss.
No, sure. You know what I do though. And we'll get into the text debate. So my special human and I, we hate arguing, but we're good at it. We're both really good.
We're really good at it.
Oh yeah, we're really good. We're like, you ever see My Cousin Vinny? Right?
Yeah,
Marissa Tomei. Hold on, wait. What did she say? A previous relationship was no arguing and no difference of opinion and no conflict. It was peaceful, and he ended up being a fake person with no sense of self and history. Dating once.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. I would tend to agree with that. So when you don't argue about things, it's because this is Kristen's comment. When you don't argue about things, you tend to let things slide. And you know, I know people who a previous relationship of mine, one of her former partners. This guy didn't say a word to her.
Yeah.
Didn't lift a finger. He did everything with this, and it was because he had a girlfriend that he was seeing during the day every day. So he didn't want to argue because his level of control was that he was messing around and making sure that. So when you have that level over someone, you have that leverage. You don't care what arguments they win because right. So anyway, with my special human, With my special human, we got into what I think what we both thought was a petty argument. We were toxic a while back, and
we were toxic. You said like it,
and she knows it, and she knows it. She'll agree to it. And we were toxic a while back, and we got into an argument, and I had to go to work that day.
Yeah.
And I go to work, and I'm like, man, and this bothers me all day because we didn't talk all day, and it's not like us to not talk all day. I'm gonna talk all day, and I'm like, I gotta figure this out. I mean, she was staying with me for a couple weeks, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we can.
And you guys would like walk by each other, pass by, wouldn't say nothing.
Yeah, I didn't.
Oh, that's that quarantine.
This was just
that's the quarantine right now. I know a lot of y'all going through that right now. So listen up.
I know people who they're watching movies in other rooms right now. I know. They refer to their spouses as my spouse and I got into an argument. Yeah, because they're that, you know. So anyway,
that much friction.
Yeah. So I'm like, I'm sitting at work, and this only lasted a day. Our fights typically don't last. Well, never mind. So I'm thinking about it on the way home.
It's getting juicy.
I'm like, I can't come home and do this again. Like I left in a huff. I had to go to work. She was upset. Our communication, our nonverbal and verbal communication have been cracked today. I got to figure this out. So I stopped by a store. First of all, I was looking for flowers. So I was looking for flowers.
Yeah. See, hey, gentlemen, take notes. Ladies, take notes.
Whether you're right or wrong, a guy at the grocery store one time told me I was at the grocery store one time picking up a 6-pack beer and a dozen flowers.
Whether you're right or wrong, you're about to tell me to bring flowers.
This guy goes to me, 6-pack and flowers. That's the answer to everything. I go, what are you talking about? He goes, you get yourself a 6-pack, you get her some flowers, everybody's happy. Whether you win or lose, you're all happy. And we weren't even a fight that day. It was just that was his thing. So I'm looking for flowers. I can't find flowers. I lived in a small town on Long Island that had like 2 stores open. And I go to this convenience store because I'm like, all right, let's get some Hershey bars or gummy worms or something.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And I check these couple packs of Super Soakers, handhelds.
Oh.
So I pick up like 4 or 6 of them. I forgot how many, and then some bigger ones. And I come in. I'm wearing a suit, and I come in real quiet. And I'm like
James Bond.
No, I just do this, and I go, pick your weapon. and I start filling up my weapon and do that, and that was it. And I don't remember what the fight was about, but I remember that we resolved it because
we just got to shoot each other.
So if you're in a fight and it's irreconcilable, or you didn't know what you're fighting about, or you forgot what you fought about, get some foam bats, get some guns, get some whatever, get some guns, whatever, and just do it.
That's a great release right there.
Yeah, and we went up giving them away to some kids. We were walking Joker, and we wound up giving them away to some young girls. So
nice. Hey, that's super dope. Super dope. Hey, healthy releases are phenomenal for your relationship, and we appreciate that, by the way. So we're talking about arguments, and we understand everyone is getting into them a lot being quarantined. So what we're going to do is we're going to help you win some of those arguments. Keep your pride intact. It's going to be good time. So the first ways, before I jump into that. I might need that later.
Good one too.
Before we jump into that, I kind of want to give you guys a little premise of what's going on. So they call these logical fallacies, what Dr. Dean was talking about a little bit earlier. And I picked a couple of them that would be very, first word that came to my mind is refutable.
Okay.
Is that, I don't know if that fits, but they'd be really good to help you out. Yeah.
Now, can I ask you before, are you helping people manipulate the argument or recognize the manipulation?
You want to be able to recognize it. Now, if you can go ahead and
okay, go ahead.
Now, if you can go ahead and use it into your advantage, I'm not going to sit here and tell you what not to really pull out from the tree. I'm just going to give you the fruit. If you want the seed, if you want the fruit, hey, that's all up to you. As long as you feel good about what you got,
Well, that's important, right? If you feel good about it, that's fine. And if you're using logical fallacies, if you're using manipulation to win an argument and you feel good about it, you have a whole other set of problems.
Yeah. But it's as far as manipulation, I've done a show about that as well.
Yes.
You're either being manipulated or the manipulator. There's no in between.
I think there's a certain level of manipulation in a lot of debates and a lot of relationships. I think that
what I'm about to tell you is manipulation.
It's furious.
For sure.
So that's why I'm asking, are you teaching people to recognize or use it? See,
probably a little bit of both.
Yeah. Okay.
I probably do, because, I don't want to just jump in the pot and tell you, like, this is what you should do, and not tell you what it looks like.
Well, it depends on, in my opinion, and this is where you and I might differ ethically, because I've done both. So
I failed ethics 3 times, by the way.
Oh, fair enough. My ethics teacher and I, she hated me. I argued a lot with her. And probably did. I was up until a couple of years ago, I was a very manipulative person.
Yeah.
And I am capable of such.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a dangerous place to be.
I am as well.
Yeah.
And I try to stop it.
Yeah.
Because I got too good at it.
So I think it depends on the level of depth in which you want to keep your relationship. So if I'm at a CVS and somebody's cut me in line, I'll manipulate that person to get out of my way, right? But if I want to have a relationship with a special human for the rest of my life, and I know that I just manipulated my way to win an argument, that is going to prey on her brain for a long time.
But what are the intentions behind it? So that also is a huge determinant.
Yeah, if you manipulate your way into a threesome, that's bad, right? If you manipulate your way out of doing the dishes, That's probably fine. And I think that if you manipulate your way out of doing the dishes, there's probably a level of recognition that both parties have in that the just like breaking the fourth wall. They understand that you are being facetious in your level of manipulation. If I use a red herring to get out of doing the dishes,
we're going to touch on that.
She probably would have been okay doing the dishes, right? If I use cyclical truth to get in and out instead of Chick-fil-A, she probably could have leaned towards Chick-fil-A, in and out. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But if I use, let's say, a straw man, or if I use,
these are all these ain't some of the ones that there's a couple that I'm gonna talk about, but there are several. Yeah. You should do.
If I use an adonym, right? What is it?
Ad hominem.
If I use an ad hominem,
that's the first one I was going to jump on. I'm glad you said that.
Let's say I use an ad hominem to convince my partner that I'm going to go out and do something that I shouldn't be doing. That is going to weigh on us for a long time.
Well, let's go ahead and go into what an ad hominem is, and then I'll ask you about how you could actually do so, because it could be a little difficult in using an ad hominem. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and read it right off of my notes, what an ad hominem is. Now, this is a fallacy, arguments, or a fallacy to kind of manipulate arguments. A lot of people use them. They are heavy in presidential debates. Donald Trump uses this all the time. A lot. So, and you'll probably, a lot of references will probably come into your mind as soon as I end up reading and telling you what it actually is. So, when you think of arguments, often their first thought of shouting matches riddled with personal attacks. Ironically, personal attacks run contrary to rational arguments. In logical rhetorical, a personal attack is called an ad hominem. An ad hominem is Latin for against the man.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, so can we give an example of that? I think.
Of course. I was just finishing up my notes. Instead of advancing good sound reasoning, an ad hominem replaces logical arguments with an attack language unrelative to the truth of the matter. So what does that mean? More specifically, the ad hominem fallacy is relevance where someone rejects or criticizes another person's point of view on the basic and attacks their basics of personal characteristics, background, physical appearance, or any other relevant in the argument issue, or anything else in the argument issue. So what does that mean? I kind of threw out a lot of information about you right there. So in short, an ad hominem is when somebody says something that has nothing to do with what you're saying. And what they're saying is actually an attack on you. So I was talking to this one guy, and I used this before, and he was getting the better of me because we were on stage going back and forth. Okay. We were roasting each other.
Yeah.
And
was it like a battle?
This was like a talent show.
Okay.
And I'm on stage, and I'm doing my little bit.
Like I'm thinking like, go be rabbit.
No. I'm doing a whole like
free world 313. No, okay.
Oh, you spitting for it? Okay, play. We about to make this a rap battle. No, I was talking about like I was telling jokes.
Oh, really?
Pretty much. I was telling jokes on stage, and there was another guy that had went before me.
Okay.
And he started telling jokes, and we started going back and forth, telling jokes. So.
I just spelled it for you.
Nice. So he starts talking about how black I was.
Was he black?
He was like almost like native. He was like indigenous? Brown skin. Okay. Yeah, super brown skin.
Can you do that?
Yeah, he was, he was just
like, if I'm a person of color, does that allow me to make a joke about any person of color?
Well, he was just talking about how dark my skin was and how if I turned off the lights kind of thing, I wouldn't see.
Right. Yeah. So if I said that, there'd be
waiting out. No, not at all. Not at all. I promise, especially with people that are joking.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true.
For sure. But what I see is everyone started laughing. The crowd was going crazy. And I was like, I paused for a second, gave a dramatic pause. I said, "So, you guys are going to listen to this guy that eats ass?" So just said, stopped everything and just let everybody know this guy eats ass. So that is a huge. And that wasn't for my favorite, an ad hominem. Yeah, that was an ad hominem that I used. I didn't know it was an ad hominem at the time. It just ended up coming out right at the right time. So
now, do you see though? So here's the thing, right? Here's the thing, Matt. I'm sorry, I got to interject.
Yes, most definitely. Because I did want to get back to the
ethical. Yeah. So an ad hominem, just so that you say,
is rude regardless.
Yeah. Yeah, right. So an ad hominem, yeah, Kristen is indigenous. Is an indigenous or person of color? She's native. Okay. So an ad hominem is when you attack somebody's character. Yeah. And typically it's irrelevant. Yeah. Right? Now, a red herring is also irrelevant, so you got to be careful. Yeah. But this is when you specifically attack somebody's character. But understand now, what you did was in the midst of joking. Yeah. Right? Now, if I took that into a relationship, right, and all of a sudden, right,
who cares what you say? You do that,
right? Exactly. Like if my girl comes up to me and says, you know, I've been washing the dishes 4 days in a row. It's your turn to do dishes, and I said to her, you know, well, what do I care? I mean, you know, when you fart, it smells awful. Like, wait. What? Now I just brought that in. Now I'm definitely doing the dishes.
I'm definitely doing the dishes.
On the couch. And I'm probably never going anywhere near her butt, which I love so much. So it is important, I think, to understand the level of that ad hominem. And the reason that Trump does that.
Trump does it a lot, by the way.
Yeah, Trump does it a lot. The reason that Trump does it is because he'd much rather discredit someone on the character level than actually go with the facts and the issues.
Oh yeah, most definitely, and it saves them a lot of time as well, I believe.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh man,
because it is probably of all the logical fallacies, probably the easiest diversion. And one of the most effective because you can easily discredit someone. And I think you probably want to take a break, right?
Oh yes. So super sorry. Thanks for keeping me on my toes.
No problem.
Thanks for keeping me on my toes. So yeah, you know, we're gonna take a quick break right here for WGSN Going Solo Network, and we will be right back. All right. So, hey, we right back. You know, this is Thinking Twice with Mr. Twice. Don't get to thinking too many times about how many twices you see, because you only need to think about it once. You dig? You know, I'm with the Dr. Dean, excuse me. I got to make sure to keep my manners. I got all my buttons up just to make sure my manners are right.
I didn't think I was going to be on today. I changed my hoodie, so at least it was a nice hoodie today.
Ah, nice, right out of Long Island too. Yeah. You know, we always got CC on the ones and twos, making sure everything goes as it's supposed to. And jumping back into the matter, we're helping everybody starting to win some arguments. So we just filled you guys in on the ad hominem. And so if things are getting out your way and, you know, you really don't want to go through what they're talking about, you're losing, just go ahead and pull out the ad hominem. You know, go talk about the gaps in their teeth, or go ahead and talk about the crust in their eye.
And on the other side of this ethical coin, I'm going to flip. If your partner has used an ad hominem, it is important. I am here to educate you on how to recognize it. So that if your partner uses an ad hominem and attacks your character, you can say, which has happened. It happens all the time. You can say, whoa, hold on a second. That's an attack of character. Let's stick to the issue at hand.
Yes.
Who has done the dishes more this week?
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely. See? Yin and yang. Yin and yang. It just makes it work. It makes the circle complete, you know, because it wouldn't be a yin without a yang. That's true. Then, you know, stuff really wouldn't go bang. Oh my God. My next fallacy that you are going to absolutely love, it's going to help you out a lot. A lot of people end up using this. You kind of mentioned it earlier, Dr. Dean, and it was a red herring fallacy. Now, I personally started studying the red herring fallacy my first semester at UNLV. This was back in 2011.
Okay.
So I was first introduced to it back then, and I figured out that I use it a lot. Now I'm gonna go ahead and read it to what the, I guess, the Webster or the dictionary,
like
or
the formal,
the formal definition. So a red herring fallacy is a distraction from an argument, which typically with some sentiment that seems to be relevant but isn't really on topic. This tactic is common when someone doesn't like the current topic and wants to detour into something else instead. Something easier, safer to address. A red herring fallacy is typically related to the issue in the question, but is not quite relevant. Oh, I kind of already said that. Instead of clarifying and focusing, it confuses and distracts. A red herring fallacy can be difficult.
It's like, what is this over here?
Right. It can be difficult to identify. It's not always clear how the topic relates. So
now, do you know where the red herring came from? The phrase red herring.
Negative. Actually, I kind of had a little bit of. So go ahead and tell me if I have my notes right.
If I have it correct, the red herring is a type of fish. Yeah.
Yes.
It's actually a really, really stinky
salted red herring.
Yeah, salted red herring. Really smelly kind of fish. And I believe, if I remember correctly,
reddish brown color.
Yeah, that hunters would allow their dogs to smell it, and the whole point of it was to train their dogs to see, despite the awful, awful, awful smell of the red herring, did they stay on target and get it right? So, in other words,
wow,
right? Is that what it is? Right?
Yeah, 100%.
So red herring is that metaphorical kind of can you stay on topic?
Can you stay,
or will the stench of it move you off course?
Yeah, most definitely. And I get hit with red herrings all the time.
It's a very common one.
All the time. And don't even know that they do it. So let's say you're in an argument and you're talking to your spouse, talking to your partner, talking to one of your friends, and you're hitting them with facts. Bing, bang, boom, bow. You're hitting them over the head with it, right? And it's at this point, it's like you can't miss. You like Jordan in Game 6, right? So let's say the next fact you give, and while you're giving out these facts, they have nothing to say about it. They don't give. Only thing they say is, yeah, okay, you're right. This, that. They're kind of real short, real dismissive. Continue on to the next fact of what's going on. Now, the moment that you give a fact or a statement that has a hole in it, they will jump on it and will not let it go. Now, and they will exploit everything that you said within, or everything you said wrong within that, and try to find a way out of the argument, opposed to addressing the 5 or 6 previous statements that were absolutely correct. So if that ever happens to you, guess what you got to do? Jump back to the points that you were correct in and see if that they can find the same answer or same issue. And that will help you out a lot with the red herring fallacy. Now, have you seen yourself? Has that happened to you? Because like where you just give like 2 and 3 or 4 or 5 things at a time, and only one, maybe 80%, or excuse me, like 20% wrong, and then they try to take a dive into that.
Here's the thing about the red herring is that it's really hard to detect, because who's to say if it was related or not? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, for example, I'll get into an argument with a partner, and it could be my current partner. Let me find something that's not that intrusive, so that I'm not outing my current partner. Maybe it's something like, okay, so we might be arguing about. I thought she had flirted with somebody, at a bar, right?
Oh man,
thought she flirted with somebody at a bar.
This one,
right? And she goes,
seen it too many times.
No, I didn't. Maybe I did, and all of a sudden they start, oh, maybe I did, but I did, whatever. And all of a sudden the red herring would be, well, how can I even trust you? I mean, you left those kissy faces under that dude's photo on Instagram 6 months ago. That is technically a red herring.
So turning the tables, you consider that a red herring?
But because it's completely unrelated to the flirting at the bar.
Right, 100%, 100%. That happens all the time.
If you're good at manipulating people and using red herrings, you find one that's close enough, right? So I was a master at doing that.
How was the master?
I was very good at doing that, because then if I was right, and that's another topical fallacy called the bandwagon, right? If I'm right about this one, or actually be more cyclical argument, if I'm right about this,
then I have to
be right about that, and they go, and all of a sudden they're embarrassed about the first thing that was probably true, or the fact that you're exploiting it, and all of a sudden they're admitting to both things. So that is definitely a dangerous red herring. But I've also found it to be on the other way. I have been in arguments where somebody else will list 5 or 6 different things, and maybe they're right, maybe they're not. I'm not going to predetermine that, because I'm trying to have this healthy argument with them. And then all of a sudden they do hit me with something.
There's healthy arguments?
Sure.
Don't they call them discussions?
No, you can healthily argue. Yeah, I mean, my partner and I, we engage in both healthy and non-healthy arguments, I'd say. But we argue healthily, and at the end of the day, as long as you...
You mean it ends healthily?
It stays healthy. It stays healthy throughout the argument, as long as you're... See, this is where...
Maybe I'm confusing argument with disagreement.
No, argue. So this is where I disagree with you in the beginning of today's conversation. You had said,
tell us if there's a healthy way to argue.
Yeah, you had said every relationship has some level of manipulation, and I'm here to
absolutely.
I'm here to say that at some point when you become a true life partner, and you've disclosed to me some things that you may be poly, you may have relationships with multiple people. That's fine. Totally fine, and I'm in a monogamous relationship at the moment, and I hope that it stays that way. I hope that I stay with this person for the rest of my life. But I've done both. I've been in poly, I've been in monogamous. Right? When you truly allow your vulnerability to show, there is no. And
you're talking to the mature now.
Yeah, and you. Here's the thing: the level of trust has to be so high that you can't even fathom. We've talked about this level of trust, because I believe it exists, and I don't think you do.
No.
Right? You have to have such a high level of trust in your partner where you can let out your true vulnerability. You can disclose things that you wouldn't disclose to other people that maybe you're not proud of. Maybe there were previous manipulations. Maybe there were things that you did that you shouldn't have done. But when you can let those things happen freely in an argument or with your partner in general, then an argument becomes a healthy argument, because I'm not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere. You can say what you're going to say. You're not here to hurt me, and I'm not here to hurt you. Now, is it common? No, it is not common at all. So I do believe that on the surface, most relationships do have some level of manipulation until you get to a point of the 10, the 15 years, or a deep level of connection that you've gone through something like I went through a traumatic experience last year with my partner. So maybe that's helpful, right? But to answer your other question about red herrings, I've been noted as being a red herring. Somebody's hitting me on all these different stages, and I say to them, I'm going, all right, so the 4 or 5 things could be right, could be wrong, I'm not sure. We're here to discuss it, right? But then they're on the roll, like you were on the roll, and they go, and another thing, and they hit me with something, and they misuse the word.
Yeah.
Right? All they had to do was misuse the word, exaggerate.
Boom.
They might have said something like, and you screamed, and then they say, and you cheated on me, and none of those things happen, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I raised my voice, or maybe I allowed a woman to give me a phone number at a bar, right? Things that are they're amplifying in this particular argument. In which case, everything that they just said, I'm going to discredit right now.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to pick apart, and I've done it before, and I'm not proud of it, because it is a manipulation. I'll take that 1 of 5 that they screwed up on, and people have said to me, and amplify. And people have said to me, I knew you were going to do that. I knew you were going to amplify that. I knew you were going to harp on that. I knew you were able to do that. And to which I replied, so why didn't you think first before you had me?
Yeah.
You had me. But now I try not to do that.
Why?
Why? Because
that's the ethical part?
Well, that's the ethics, right? Because the four things that they
He's
said
better
previous,
than me, y'all. He's better than me.
The 4 things that they said previous to the 5th could have been valid, but I'm not about to let them explore it, because I'm going to harp on the 5th and discredit the whole 5.
Absolutely.
And that's not fair.
It is.
No, the proper answer to me, instead of red herring it, right, is to say, hey, hold on twice. Number 5, No. Here's why. Now, let me bring you back to number one. What were you saying?
Yeah.
Right? Now, what I've done is I've shown you an ultimate form of vulnerability.
Oh, the ultimate form. He went Super Saiyan on y'all.
Is that I'm ready for your 4.
Yeah.
And I've shown you the ultimate form of respect and loyalty in that I'm not going to harp on it. And so, like, you ever play? We're about to play Mortal Kombat tonight.
Oh yeah, he's gonna get beat down.
In Mortal Kombat, when you're beating somebody, you can give them a mercy, meaning you don't finish them. You actually give them a little bit more life to play longer.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm going to give you a little bit more mercy, and I'm hoping you don't like jam the controller and kill me real quick. Right. So I'm going to give you some mercy. I'm going to show you some loyalty, and I'm hoping that that's requited, and you don't do that again. Right.
The Dr. Dean, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Dean, you are too good of a person for us, or for me. I'm a little bit worse. Now, as far as your ethics standpoint, he was talking about he hated his ethics teacher. On the contrary, my ethics teacher hated me.
Okay.
He seen me 3 times. It took me 3 classes to pass it, for sure. Now, the first time I failed, I won't go through all of them. First time I failed, one of the questions was, would you rob a bank? I answered yes, and
why wouldn't you?
And yeah, my semester.
We talked about robbing banks the other day.
My semester ended right then and there.
Really?
No, F.
You couldn't justify your way into robbing a bank?
He was such a stickler.
See, I would have asked questions like, who owns the bank?
Wow! Why didn't I do it?
What level of wealth are the bank owners? So, like in that movie Inside Man,
right? And
in Inside
don't they
Man,
have it all or not fortified? But what's the word? Where they got it back? They got all the money back by the federal government.
And the guy who owned the bank had started it from Holocaust money,
right?
So with Nazi money.
See, I should have jumped on that.
That's the kind of bank that I would rob. Now, I'll be honest, I would. If somebody gave me,
you hear about his ethics? You hear his ethics, right? He's talking.
Someone gave me the opportunity to rob a bank today and said there's no way you get caught and nobody gets hurt, I'm robbing a bank. I don't care who owns it. So maybe I'd have failed that class too. But I would have definitely in that class figured out a way to justify robbing.
Man, I failed that one for sure. And as far as the fallacy of the red herring, sometimes I indulge into what the person is trying to do, the red herring, because I know that I have you already messed up I have you already messed up on these 4. You just pick out the 1 5. Sometimes I say stuff that to where you think you could bite on, and then I flip that too, just to practice on my ability to,
really? What do they call that?
Is there a name for it?
I don't know.
I think it's called.
You're baiting.
I think it's called thinking twice. Now I don't suggest everybody else think twice, because you got to think more than 2 times as fast to be able to do so. So once you level up, or what's the term you do?
I say level up.
Yeah. Well, no, you said something else. We said once you go into your ultimate form.
Oh yeah.
Then you should go ahead and try it, man, because it tends to get a lot of fun when you have somebody at your mercy mentally. But then, as long as you have good intentions with it, it makes it even feel that much better. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. Just don't. This is probably why I'm single. This is probably why you guys don't want to stay single, because you run into people like me. But I always show you love, baby. That's what it's about. Now, the last fallacy that we're going to talk about, and the reason why now to kind of go back, the reason why it is called love, because I'm showing you how to recognize it. Now, I'm not going to see, if it wasn't love, I wouldn't show you my cards. I'm showing you my cards, showing you how I play, and then I'm going to say, let's deal the deck.
Yeah, this is 3 of about 25 logical fallacies that exist.
Yes.
He's not showing you the other 22.
I'm not showing the other 22. More like 50.
Yeah.
I think there's like 50 fallacies. But see, here's the point, though. I'm just giving you a couple of breadcrumbs so you can do your own research. And then when you're doing your research, you can think about me. And that's what we call thinking twice. Now, the last fallacy that we're going to show you today, and who knows, we may even get into a couple more later. You might want to check out Dr. Christopher Salute. I call him Dr. Dean. Pull him up on YouTube, and he talks about several of the fallacies. They're going to be coming up here shortly this week, and that's about right.
Yeah, I'm uploading them tomorrow morning.
Oh, see, so go ahead and check that out. You're going to get a whole lot more insights, which are a lot more prominent, a lot more in detail, a lot more in depth, and you're going to get a perfect picture of what these fallacies can do, what they look like, and how to use them. So which is going to be super cool. Now, my last fallacy, which is I do this a lot. I feel like if you are having a really tough time, one of the things they always say, when in doubt, deny.
Yep.
And so, with that being said, deny. This one's called appeal to ignorance.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't hear you say that.
No, that's not. It's one that I want to do on the next one. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I
Appeal to ignorance. So, as you guys can assume, when you play the dumb role, sometimes the smart people like to play dumb. So if you're a little smart in what you like to do and you want to see what kind of cards they're going to play, go ahead and play the dumb role and you may see what cards they're going to pull. I like to do that too as well. And with the appeal to ignorance, you kind of have to let go of some of the kind of insults that they kind of give. You're that nice evil cheat. Yeah, you know, it's a balance. It's a balance, you know. So with the appeal to ignorance, I'll go ahead and kind of tell you what it is. So anytime ignorance is used as a major premise in support of an argument, is liable to be fallacious, a fallacious appeal to ignorance. Naturally, we are all ignorant to many things, of course. I don't know, honestly, I know a little bit of a little bit. And the more you know, I kind of did this, we kind of talked about moral, conscious ignorance.
Mm-hmm.
We did talk about conscious ignorance. So, and conscious ignorance kind of appeals to appeal of ignorance. Man, that was a tongue twister. So pretty much saying that, you know, you don't know everything, and the more you know, the more you realize how little you know. But like I was saying, we all are ignorant to many things, but it's a cheap and manipulation to allow unfortunate aspect of the human condition to do most of our heavy lifting in an argument. The appeal to ignorance isn't proof of anything except that you don't know something. So when you have you ever used like appeal to ignorance or anything?
Yeah,
like
I've used it without realizing it.
Yeah?
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
So what was like the best time that you used appeal to ignorance?
Well, so I don't think that it's a good thing.
Well, but then it goes back to your intentions. If your intentions are good, it's like using the bad in you for good.
Well, so as a doctor, it's easy for me to do that.
Right.
It's really easy. So somebody might say to me, I mean, they might challenge me on a piece of information that could be right or could be wrong, and I haven't done the research on it.
Yeah.
And I'll just go, well, I mean, with an end size of 2,000 and an over/under, blah blah blah, and I'll throw out some statistics, and I go,
kind of throw them off.
Yeah, I'll just go, but you knew that, right? And they go, what? You know what? And so, you know, if I throw statistics out at somebody or my methodology out at somebody,
that sounds advanced. That's advanced appeal to ignorance.
And what typically someone will do,
I think you're using 2 or 3 fallacies within that.
Probably,
yeah, I think so.
And what typically someone will do is they'll go, I have no idea what you just said, and therefore I'm not going to challenge you on whether you're right or wrong about this thing because I literally don't know what method you used to figure that out. So that's kind of an appeal to ignorance.
So for us that don't really have an IQ of 100,000, I'm gonna go ahead and help you guys out. So an appeal to ignorance. Now, what I've seen on the net, I pulled this up, but it kind of doesn't relate. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump myself in the pot as well. But the one they said was, no one has ever been able to prove the existence of extraterrestrials exist. So with that being said, they must not be real. That is an example of an appeal to ignorance. So let's say just because they can't prove it, someone can't prove it, that means that it's not there.
Yeah, and we see that all the time, right? You see that with evolution. You see that with religion.
Exactly.
Right? But, you know, I love, what movie is it? I think it was The Santa Claus. right? When he says,
not with Tim Allen.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, when he says, this isn't real. None of this is real. I've never seen. There's no proof that Santa Claus is real. And his son, I think, goes, "Have you ever seen $1 million?" And he goes, "No." He goes, "Just because you haven't seen something doesn't mean it doesn't exist."
Doesn't mean it doesn't.
Right?
That is a tricky way of manipulation, and they're doing it at an early age.
Right.
Now, see, this is the one that usually gets us. This is the one that got me a couple times. So, so fellas, what happens is you guys are going through your phone, or you guys got your phone. You may be doing some dirt in your phone. You don't want your girl to see it, and you say you got a couple risky texts.
Oh, so what are you doing? One of these? Hold on, I'm gonna show you. I'll show you. So you're doing one of these. You're going. Hold on, I get your phone. You're watching TV. You're watching TV like this, like.
Yeah. You got one of the risky texts.
Yeah.
The girl ends up asking you. Your man ends up asking you. Let me see your phone. Looks in the phone. They're going, and they probably already know the type. There's only like 2 or 3 girls that you actually talk to. So they pull up their thread. Nothing's in that thread. Mm-hmm. Oh, since nothing's there, you guys have to be doing something. And she blows up.
Yeah.
So she's appealing to the ignorance right then and there. That happens all the time. That happened to me a couple times because I was smart enough to delete the thread. But nothing was there anyway.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I promise. Yeah. If I'm going to cheat, I'm going to tell you. Now, is that cheating?
No. That's what we call ethical non-monogamy. I've had that conversation with partners, and I've said, look, I don't believe in cheating anymore. I cheated.
I don't do that.
Yeah, I cheated years ago, and I thought it was terrible, and it's not the right thing to do. I think you're either monogamous or you're ethically non-monogamous. I have had this conversation with partners now that I am in that belief system where I say, "Oh, honey, you can look at my phone, absolutely, because I have nothing to hide.
Yeah,
nothing to hide. Look through all of it, and then leave.
And right,
because if you don't trust me enough, where you need to look at my phone." Leave. Yeah. Because you won't find anything, right? Because I'm not stupid. Yeah. If I'm going to cheat.
Yeah, we got 7 phones. What are you talking about?
No, if I'm going to cheat, I'm going to leave.
I'm going to use my email.
Right. If my partner isn't what I want sexually,
I'm just talking shit.
Then I'm either ethical. Then I'm going to engage in non-monogamy and have that conversation with them and say this is what I want from my partner, or I'm going to say something's wrong with this relationship. We haven't fixed it. I'm out. Yeah. Right? And I'm certainly not going to be stupid enough to engage, especially with my internet personality. I'm not going to be stupid enough to engage in cheating because that will get screenshot everywhere. Right? Yeah. So, and it hurts people.
Celebrity.
Right? So I will say here's my phone. You can check it on your way out. Yeah. Right? But I see what you're saying. So that level of ignorance proves them wrong. Yes. Right? Because they can't see that they haven't proved. And then they feel kind of stupid because they can't prove it. Right. Right.
And then you know what comes after that? The red herring.
Right. Right.
And then you know what I do after that?
What?
The ad hominem.
Then you attack their character. This is great. This is great. I was, here's
you line it all up.
Here's the funny part. I know we're inching to the end of the show here. I was going to set you up with somebody who I care about greatly. Yeah. I was going to set Twice up with someone who's like almost like a sister, who is one of the most beautiful humans in the world in here, of course. And she's an attractive woman, of course. I don't think I want to do that.
Oh, yeah. You know, she might be a different person.
because the level of the amount of logical fallacies that you are okay with, I don't want to subject her to.
Man, it takes a strong woman to go ahead and, bark up this tree.
It takes, I don't know if strength is what they need.
I don't know if strength is what
I don't know what they need. They need to be like, I don't know. What kind of Harry Potter?
The first time the dean's been stumped. I've never read any of those books.
Oh, so you don't know what faction you're in?
Negative.
See, I'm a Slytherin, which are like the bad guys.
Yeah.
I'm also a Sith in Star Wars.
Oh.
So you would think that I would engage more in these types of logical fallacies. The difference is I understand the dark side, but I would rather understand it and not use it. Understand, recognize it, and eradicate it. Right? And maybe, I guess, probably use portions of it, but be upfront about it.
See, that's good. And as you should. But see, I kind of view myself. Now, this is so this is actually the first time I've ever said this. So this is the first time this ever came out of my mouth.
Monumental.
Yeah. So now that I'm thinking about it, I kind of feel like Father Time.
Okay.
Because I live in the past, present, and future all at the same time.
Interesting.
Now, with that being said, when Father Time wants you to use your gifts and what you're good at before your time is ran out.
Okay.
That's what Father Time would like.
Okay.
Now, those are my intentions. Now, if I see something great in you, but I know that the only way for you to be that great is for you to manipulate them. Like, so let's say, like, I know you're the best player, the best baseball player in the world right now, but you don't know that. Am I going to tell you that? Negative. I'm not going to tell you that. I'm going to let you know you're good, but I'm also going to do something that's going to bring more up out of you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to always, and that's why I always spoke about what's your intentions. I'm not going to do anything that's going to have intentions that will, make you feel worse or, make you stop going towards your goal, or intentions that will drive you down a different path that you feel like that you'll never be able to get out of. My intentions are going to be to kind of, either kind of, chip off a little bit of that chippiness you have,
right,
and so that you can get through this door that you need to get through, so you can talk to the people that you'd like to, and also give you a little boost to where that you're going to be able to, finish that race, because sometimes you may be knee deep. And what's going to happen is when you're knee deep, your stride slow down. It's going to take a little bit more strength. You're going to need a little bit more oomph and willpower to get there. And so that manipulation is going to add a little fuel to your fire.
So I hear what you're saying. Here's where
never said that before.
That's good. No, it's good. Here's the only time. Here's the way in which it could backfire. If you,
I'd like to hear that.
If you manipulate someone who has potential greatness in them, and you trust yourself too much, and you didn't manipulate them the right way, which is not yours to do, by the way, but I understand what you're saying. So
they're already great.
Or somebody who's on their way.
Yes.
And this could be in a relationship, whatever.
Yes.
You leave them open to vulnerability that they wouldn't have normally been open to, because there was a manipulation there, and you are to blame. Right? Now, the way I would do, and this and in the relationship as well, right? I was very, very, very much like this. Okay. Circa, as far only a couple years ago. What I now practice, do you listen to Gary Vee?
Yes.
So Gary Vee is ultra transparent. Would we agree to that?
100%.
Gary Vee is one of the smartest people in the world, I think.
I think he has it.
Yeah.
He got that it back.
So I am more of a Gary Vee kind of mentee, and that I'm super transparent. And a lot of people tell me that's a bad thing, right?
Negative.
Right. I agree with that. And the reason that I'm super transparent is I'll tell somebody, I'll say, look, I had the choice here. I could have manipulated this conversation and not given you all the information that I had on you, and not given you what I truly think about you, and push you to a different level, right? But it's not my job to do that. My job is to tell you what my thoughts are. And my thoughts are, whether it be a relationship, professionally, love, friendship, whatever, I'm going to be ultra transparent with you. And then it's on you. I'm going to put it in your hands to see if you can manipulate your thinking and push yourself higher. That does two things. One is it frees me of any integrity issues, right?
That's kind of what I said, though. Continue. You said,
right, okay. But then two is that whether you fail or succeed, it's on you, right? And now I've pushed you to have your own level of what word am I thinking of? Self-control and discipline and all these things.
Yeah.
So I've said that in a relationship too. I've said, look, baby, I could easily win. I've said this. I could win this argument.
Yeah.
There is no way. And I've told partners over the past couple of years, I very much toned down the way I argue, because the way I used to argue, I would win, and I could destroy someone like that. Right. And I've said to partners, I could win this argument. Hands down, I know I could win this argument. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I'm telling you I could win this argument. I can win this argument, and I can destroy your self-esteem in the process. Here's what I'm going to tell you. This is how I feel. This is what I'm seeing in you. Tell me if I'm wrong or if I'm right. Let's move forward together. And the reason that I do that,
nice, and I do the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't attack the person.
Right.
No ad hominem.
Right. The reason that I do that rather than a manipulation, because you could manipulate, and you could it could be a helpful manipulation.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can, if somebody's got a bit of an ego, play to their ego and let them think, right? And I'll say to them, look, I see you've got an ego here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to play up to it. Instead, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. Let's grow this together. And bottom line is, I wind up losing a lot of arguments. I do leave the conversation with my tail between my legs very often, but I feel much better going to bed rather than knowing I could have mentally and psychologically battered someone and won that argument.
Interesting. So my man got a heart. You know, and having a heart is, you know, one of those things that makes the world go around. So make sure you keep having your heart. And the reason why we is letting you guys know about these fallacies so that, you know, we can kind of recognize it. And once you recognize it, you can stop it. When we stop the arguments, we start being able to communicate better. Our relationships are better. They're healthier. And we have the right intentions. Always have the right intentions, especially right in that heart that we'd like to see. You know, this is Thinking Twice with Mr. Twice. I got Dr. Dean here, man. CC, we greatly appreciate you for running in 1 and 2s for us today. And yeah, don't join an argument or jump into an argument unless you're going to win. Pick and choose your battles, baby. And if everything in the world thought twice, or everybody in the world thought twice, it'll be a better place. Love, baby. We out.